Hey, everyone. Welcome. Will you stop making noise over there?
Sorry.
My God. Okay. There's a blooper already. Okay. Hey, everyone. Here we go. And shoot. All right. Wait. Okay. And 3, 2, and 1. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Truth in the Booth series with my fellow coach and creator of Timprov, Tim Powers. Woohoo!
Hey, that's me.
In this series, Tim and I are going to pull back the curtain on what really creates authentic communication, hence Truth in the Booth. We'll explore the thinking behind great performances, break down scripts and coaching moments, and we'll have honest conversations about the mindset, storytelling, and human connection that transform words on a page into meaningful communication. Tim, oh my gosh, yay, welcome. I'm so excited to kick off the first episode of Truth in the Booth.
I know, and you and I, have known each other for years. We've had students go back and forth between the two of us, and we've helped a lot of people really succeed in their careers, right? The chosen career that they've wanted. And I think it's time that we peel back the onion.
That's right,
and we really talk about what it takes to be successful in this industry with absolutely no pretense whatsoever. So I'm going to break it down for you right now.
Wow.
Okay?
All right. Well, you go right ahead, Tim.
This is how you do it, okay?
Right.
The first thing you do is you've got to have a nice voice. Like, you've got to have, like, people need to tell you
voice.
at the grocery store,
voice.
at the bar, you've got to have a nice, like, people need to tell you all the time that you have a nice voice. That's the first possible thing. The next thing you need to do is buy the most expensive microphone you can find.
Tim.
Okay? And then after that, it's just reading. And so all you do is you walk into an agent's office, and once you've bought the microphone and you've secured an agent, you're on The Simpsons. That's how it goes.
It's so simple, but yet
It
Tim,
really is.
What Tim.
What?
Let's peel back the onion. Let's peel back the onion even more, and
Okay.
let's actually get to the truth, Tim, because that was really good. But that was absolutely everything that is not the truth.
Not at all true.
Not at all true, as a matter of fact. I love it, guys, but that is the misconception, bosses out there. I mean, for maybe not longtime listeners of VO Boss, because we all know better. But if you've been in the industry for any length of time, you've heard that word over and over and over again. Authenticity, be yourself and be true. And that is really obviously important. Otherwise, we wouldn't say it all the time, right, Tim? It's constantly we're saying, be authentic, be you. Bring yourself to the party.
But it's not just us saying that. It's our clients.
Oh,
it's
gosh,
the casting directors. It's the ones who make the decision whether or not you get the job. They're the ones calling for authenticity, calling for emotion, calling for truth in your performance. Because as we stare down the barrel of AI, which, make no mistake, has eaten a great deal of our lunch. There's just no getting around it, right? The thing that an actor can do, that AI, no matter who's at control, can do, is bring humanity, bring compassion, empathy, actual depth of emotion. The, Big Bang Theory guys who are controlling AI right now lack that ability to connect on an artistic level, which is what allows the message that we're delivering, whatever it is, to resonate with a human.
Yeah. I like how you come in with the guns drawn here. I mean, you're right on to AI. But you touched upon something. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to make sure I dial it back just a minute.
It's your show, Ann.
Because Tim, Truth in the Booth here. You touched upon something that I don't want to forget about, and that was it's what the clients are asking for. I mean, we cannot at the end of the day forget that I wish it was all about me, in the booth and me having fun and all that stuff. But in reality, it's all about the market that we're serving, and we cannot be serious voice actors if we don't have consideration for the market that we are selling our voices to, because they're the ones that are really dictating. And I will tell you from my marketing knowledge from a long time ago is that customers and consumers, we're smart today. We demand truth. And if you're trying to, feed us a line and you're not true or authentic, we can call that out a mile away. And that is certainly not something that is conducive to me, to buyers spending money. And isn't that what clients want? They want to sell their product. I mean, that's why they're hiring us.
Not only are they hiring us, but one of the reasons that they're hiring influencers is for that human authenticity, right? Like what they want is that spontaneity, right? The I hate to say it, but the improvisation that the influencers go, hey, I just got this box from insert product here. It's really awesome. And
Tim, you don't hate to say improv. I'm just saying.
I don't want my entire life and career to be about improvisation, but it is the philosophy that everything goes by, and that yes and is right there, and the spontaneity of being an improviser is what gets me work. Well, it makes me easy to work with. It, is in my performance.
But let me play devil's advocate, because newer voices or bosses out there are going to say, yeah, but I can't just be spontaneous. I have to follow the words on the script. So how do I bring that authenticity to the script? And that, my friends, is of course the challenge of us becoming that actor and being able to take words that are not our own and be able to create a story and improv into the words so that they become believable.
Oh no, you've become an actor? What? Oh, and you have to use words that other people wrote and make them sound authentic? Oh, that's never happened before in the history of theater. It's been happening since ancient Greece. My wife is a classically trained Shakespearean actor. Okay? She's trained. She has done brilliant performances in Shakespeare in New York. She's got a master's degree from Brooklyn College in Shakespeare. We've been together 15 years. I've never heard her speak in iambic pentameter. So, if the way that you deliver Shakespeare is in your intonation, in your cadence, in your right, because nobody talks like that anymore. What light through yonder window break? No one talks like that. No one talked like that then. It was a contrivance for the theater at the time. And what your job is to do is put those words in 21st century human drag, even if they are written poorly. So the way you do it is you use classical acting techniques, whether it's Meisner or Stanislavski or Hagen or Ganguzza or Powers or whatever, and we just all have stolen from each other.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day,
trying to achieve the same thing,
right? So you find a way to make whatever script you've got resonate with you personally, whatever it is, right? Tanya Buchanan, my agent in Toronto, Tada, she likes to say nobody cares that much about craft dinner. Right, so if you've got a script for craft dinner, for you Americans, that's macaroni and cheese, right? What's the script really about? I'll give you a hint. It's not macaroni and cheese. No one's like, hey, it's powdery, weird stuff and pasta. Yeah. It may be about comfort. It may be right. What's people, especially beginning actors, struggle with subtext.
Yeah.
Because I think we live in a world really devoid of subtext. Everything is kind of hitting you over the head right now.
What an observation there, Tim. Let me just, because that's so interesting with us, I think, the communication these days, where it's so much digital text and not necessarily, human communication face to face or, over the phone or sound, and with text communication. I don't know. It's hard I think people, you're right, they've lost their ability to really read subtext easily, or even, I guess figure out what is the true meaning behind the words. I mean, because it's really just words that they're reading. And so people, I think it's a lost skill.
Metaphor is gone, right? Yeah. So, and what I have found is the most successful voice actors, the folks that you can think of when you think, oh, they've made it, they're great, right? The keynote speakers, the folks at San Diego Comic-Con, the folks who, are the stars of our industry. They're extraordinarily good at finding metaphor and critical thinking and acting. You know, we like. "Well, I don't really care about Vicks VapoRub." No, you don't. But you care about your 7-year-old daughter who's got a cough or a cold and blah, 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 or whatever it is. Find a way to connect. AI cannot do that, okay? So, and I know you ring this bell loud, and so do I. What you've gotten yourself in, no matter how good your voice is this is an acting job. And the best actors are authentic. I just watched Hail Mary. Right, our Jenna Birmingham, a friend of ours, told me to watch this movie. She loved this movie, and 90% of the movie is Bradley Cooper by himself, and he wins over the audience with his acting. He's got very little to react to, and all of his acting, most of his acting,
in his face,
is nonverbal. It's in his eyes. It's an expression. You watch the light go out when he realizes what's going on. You're watching, like you watched for 90 minutes. I watched a man think.
Yeah.
You know, and the subtext, the metaphor of this whole movie is pretty heavy. And if you just watch it, go, "Oh, that was cute," another Marvel movie. You're missing a point.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Folks,
And
read a book, read a novel, watch a movie, and say, "What is the artist trying?" Go to the art museum, and instead of going, "Oh, look, there's a nice bowl of fruit," what is the artist trying to say?
Well, yeah, I think that you've brought up a key point in everything, and to even start to bringing your truth to the booth is really taking a look at that script and figuring out what is it really trying to say. I mean, there are words in front of you that might have sales pitches to them, but however, there's such an underlying story, and I think that is where a lot of people feel like, "Oh no, I've got this." They want to sell macaroni and cheese, but not really. You have to go deeper than that and then understand, really, how does that connect on a very human level? How does macaroni and cheese connect on a very human level? How does corporate sustainability connect on an emotional level to a CEO or another business that you're talking to? I mean, of course there are, ramifications. Of course we want to be sustainable, but how does it affect the person that you're talking to in an emotional way? I mean, are you committed to sustainable practices in your business? And I just happen to float over to corporate stuff because a lot of people find it very hard to think about subtext or think about a story when you're talking corporate. They're like, isn't it just delivering information about the company or delivering information about the product? No.
Never.
I mean, yes, there's information that you're delivering. However, it makes all the difference in the world, like who you're delivering it to and what your purpose is. And that's where when you look at it and you're trying to figure out, like, what is the purpose of the script and what is it really trying to say? That's where subtext comes in, right? That's the subtext of it all. When they say, this is a great product, what is the real subtext underneath that? Is it, this is a great product? Or is it, a little bit more subdued? Maybe this is a great product to help you do this. There's so many different ways that you can interpret it, but you have to kind of think about it in terms of how is this company wanting to portray that product or service, or even themselves, to the person that they're talking to. Because ultimately, if we are talking commercial or any type of like corporate, we can talk character in a minute, but if you're talking about any type of script that is involved with corporate or commercial, it really is about the sale. It really is about the sale.
It is. But if you think about what sales is, every decision, every consumer decision is made on an emotional basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't believe me, go to your pantry and look at the things that are in your pantry and tell me every single one of those was a well thought out scientific decision. No, you're like, I brought shredded wheat because I like shredded wheat.
I must, because I bring this up in almost every episode when I talk about product. Chanel.
Yeah.
It's an emotional buy. This is a new one, Natasha Denona, and she is a very emotional buy for me. So it really is purchase. I'm like, oh my God, look at this color. I must have it. It matches my branding colors, right?
Right.
And so it's on an emotional level. Do I care that? Do I care about all the intimate details about the production of this, not necessarily. I mean, of course, I don't want it to be toxic. I don't want it to be put toxic stuff on my lips. But in reality, I'm all enamored with the color and how that color is going to make me feel. How it's going to, when I put that color on, how I'm going to look and how that's going to make me feel. Is it going to give me that confidence that I want in the booth, right? So just here, random. There are times when I do corporate and I put lipstick on when I go into the booth because it helps me to feel. It helps me to feel.
It makes me feel pretty. Eh?
Yeah, it makes me feel powerful. Makes me feel the corporate part, and so there. I just had to bring my products into the booth to say that they were everything I buy it's pretty much on an emotional level, and of course, after the emotional level, I have to say, is it financially, is it financially okay for me to buy this? But in reality, the first and foremost is if I watch an influencer and I see them wear something or see them, talk about something that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know I needed that. That is where the emotion has got me ready to buy. And that's where your voice needs to be in a script, right? If that's the purpose of it. That's our job.
Our job is way more about a transference of emotion than it is information.
Emotion, yes. So let's say that again. Emotion, right? We have a transference of emotion. I call point of view, but emotion is really what it's all about. You have to have an emotion about it because that's what attracts people to listen. Otherwise, you're just like, hello, these are words, and I will sound like a robot, and I don't really have a feeling about one way or the other about them. And so therefore, if somebody is just half listening to you, I would say, or they're zoning off or they're doom scrolling, which, I do that on a nightly basis, right? Do I listen to what's on the television? Halfway. So you've got to be that voice that just pulls them in. Like Tim, like you're saying, for 90 minutes you watched a man think. That's a riveting performance, and you have to bring that to the words, whether they're talking about sustainability or sales for Q4 or most people are like, well, I can do that in a character, an animated character. If I can do an explainer, I can do something. If I'm talking to little kids, but you got to bring that to every single piece of copy that is in front of you, and that's the challenge, right?
Animated characters, though, are rooted in reality. They're rooted in truth, right?
Yep.
That I'm a student of animation. Like I'm a nerd about it. I can tell you about cartoons that were created in the 20s and 30s. Okay, and just this weekend, I had my friends who are 4 and 5 years old visit my house and stay with me for a few hours. And they're like, Uncle Tim, can we watch Pokemon? And so we did. We watched an episode of Pokemon. I said, can I show you a cartoon I really like? And they go, yeah, of course. And I showed them a Daffy Duck cartoon, and it's called Duck Amuck. It won an Emmy. It's the one where he's battling with the animator, and the animator just keeps messing with him throughout the entire thing.
I know
like it erases the background.
Yep.
This 4-year-old girl belly laughed. Right now, but everybody knows a Daffy Duck.
Yeah,
he's based on like that vainglorious narcissist that we all know who's just trying to do a good job and keeps getting messed with. Like everybody can relate to that. Bugs Bunny, Billy West said one time the difference between Bugs Bunny and like Woody Woodpecker, right, is we root for Bugs.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he never throws the first punch.
Exactly.
In every situation, he's minding his own business. He's watching TV, he's reading a book, he's trying to take a nap, and then somebody comes along and messes with him. Whereas Woody Woodpecker, who is not nearly as resilient and doesn't resonate, with kids today, is because he's always the aggressor.
Well,
he's just walking down the street and he sees a guy and goes, I'm going to mess with that guy. And that's his entire motivation.
Yeah.
So even your animated character, as wacky as they may be, are rooted in. I use Toy Story all the time as a great example. When the first Toy Story movie came out, and people are like, I don't know, man, can CGI hold an audience? Who did they hire to run the cast? They hired the greatest flippin' actor they could find to carry the entire movie. And he did.
Yeah.
Ed Asner in Up. Right?
Oh, God. I love that one. Yeah.
Right? And Asner's one of the greatest actors of my lifetime. He's amazing. You know? That's why those guys are getting the work. Not because it's Ed Asner in Up. It's because he could deliver. He was reliable and could deliver the job.
He could do the job.
Right. In Pixar movies, the star never gets billing above title. It's not Tom Hanks in Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're doing that. So don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
When you are playing a cartoon character, you're just playing any other character, kind of on steroids a little bit, you know, but it's still rooted in truth. Why do these characters resonate?
Human, rooted in humanness, and you know, guys, there's that old, you know, kind of people, if they first start, they're like, yeah, why are the celebrities getting all the voiceover? Well, because they can act. Number one, that's a big part of it. I mean, sometimes it's for marketing, but they're not going to put somebody, you know, in a role that they can't, you know, pull off. And so you have to understand that, you know, they didn't maybe hire you because maybe, you know, you didn't have the acting that was required. And so again, we go back to acting being the requirement, and within the acting, the truth, and it's the truth that you bring to the words on behalf of, right? On behalf of the product, the service, the story. It really is. I'll just leave it at story, because I mean, everything has a story, whether
Everything
it's a
has a
commercial,
story.
whether it's a corporate narration, whether it's a teaching lesson. Everything has a story. Everything has a beginning. Everything has, you know, at some point an ending. It may not be a forever ending, but it'll have a certain closure to it. And within the confines of the introduction and the closing, there are steps that are either, you know, teaching somebody something, convincing somebody of something, or entertaining somebody. Right? So
make them feel something.
Yeah, making them
The
feel
great
something.
novels, the great art, the great cinema, the great music. You know, Beethoven exists because when you're sitting in a symphonic auditorium and you're hearing the Fifth Symphony, you're hearing the rage and the passion and the frustration, right? You're hearing that. So all art, and make no mistake, if you're an actor, you're an artist, you are reflecting the human condition. And what AI can't do is that. AI art looks like shit. If AI voices lack that humanity. AI
They're
text
predictable.
is homogenized and predictable, and it's boring. And so,
can I just I want to latch onto that word predictable, because I say it all the time. I'm like, look, you do not want to sound predictable, and that's why, number one, that's why your audition needs to stand out, so you don't want to be predictable like everybody else if they just read it. Which there's a very predictable melody, and I talk about it all the time, when people just go in and they don't have a story and they don't have the concept of who they're talking to, and they just read in the voice that they think it's supposed to sound like. There is no story, and we all have a very similar melody when we read aloud. There's a science behind it when you read aloud. What words get emphasized, right? What the rhythm is like, and it becomes very consistent. And I think the best storytellers are not predictable, right? We don't know what's going to happen. You know, that's what latches us, you know, like, what's going to happen next, right? We need to keep people along that journey of the story, even if I'm talking about, you know, something as mundane as, again, I'll say, you know, corporate responsibility, or we're talking to a shareholder, or whatever it might be, or I'm teaching calculus. There's still something in that's going to get people inspired or motivated. And that has to come from you.
They're going to feel
something. It's not
something.
coming from the words. It's coming from you. And I just have to, as the teacher, I have to say, didn't you have a teacher when you were young that just changed your life? That just
Two of them.
Yeah, I have 3. And it was like, God, I hated this subject until, you know, Mrs. So-and-so, or, you know, I was in the class, and they are what made it exciting. They're what, and how did they do that? Not by reading PowerPoints in front of the class or reading text in front of the class. They did it with their truth, with their authenticity and their passion.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
So you want truth in the booth? Here's the deal. If you get behind the microphone ever, and you're not acting, and you haven't prepared a scene,
Oh, yeah.
you are not doing the job.
Absolutely.
And if you think that you're going to get cast because you read beautifully, you are deluding yourself. Because who is going to get the job is someone who built connection.
Absolutely.
Built a scene, is actually acting. You know, you want to do like local car commercials for $50? Cool. Great. I would rather be the voice of cattle. I'd rather be Maurice LaMarche and a millionaire just because I'm the voice of Lexus.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
That's so funny. I love that you made that distinction between, I think it's Tier 3 automotive. Is that correct?
Yep.
Tier 3 automotive and national. And in reality, and I've done Tier 3 automotive.
I still do Tier 3 automotive. It's awesome. It's great.
It is. It's great. You don't have time to really put emotion into it because usually they're trying to stuff it with so many words that I don't have time to put a point of view on there except just I'm excited. I'm excited and I'm talking fast, and you better get down there quick. But I, when I coach my students, I don't even approach that because that's a whole different style because you've got to be able to get your words out quickly, and you've got to do it a lot of times before 30 seconds is up or whatnot, and usually got to do it within 4 seconds of it, 26 seconds instead of 30. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, I'd much rather be the national commercial because I have an opportunity to kind of like to understand the subtext and create that flow and create that story and be the actor in terms of getting people to connect with that story of the car commercial. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even cartoon characters. I have tons of friends who can say, "What's up, Doc?" or
Imitate.
"Give me a beer," like Homer Simpson. But can you do Homer Simpson when he's having an existential crisis? Because he has one in almost every episode.
Yeah.
Can you do the range of emotion? Bugs Bunny when he's delirious, when he's angry, when he's frustrated,
and
when he's sad.
And that comes from you. And it's funny because, Tim,
They all came from Mel.
I just finished interviewing Jim Meskimen, who is a pretty well-known impressionist.
Yeah.
And, it's, of course you can sound like someone, but you've got to bring the truth to the words that they're saying. And that truth comes from you while you're channeling the sound of somebody else. I mean, if they're angry, if they're excited, if they're funny, and even if they have certain mannerisms, you're still bringing yourself through their mannerisms because what else are you going to do? I mean, you're not them. So you have to bring yourself to the party. And also, Jim also, in addition to impressions, he also does animation and video games and commercial acting as well.
Sure.
And it really is all about that connection with the audience, just like he says. So it's not like it comes easy, guys. It's one thing I do want to say, and Tim, I'm sure you can echo me on this. Most people think it should be easy for them, and I constantly, I'm talking to students. They're like, "Well, if I figure I shouldn't do it because it's not. I don't know if I'm getting it. I don't know if I'm cut out for this." And I'm like, well, I mean, it's not just the genre we're talking about. This is, you've got to learn acting. And so no matter what genre you are, if you don't think you're cut out for e-learning, you're not cut out for corporate, you're not cut out for whatever it might be because you're not getting it, it's not that. It's because you need to really establish a foundation in acting first. And some things are easier than others. Some things have a story written into them that are a little more obvious than others, and that's just the way it goes. Depends on what copy you're looking at.
Well, yes, and you and I have both done national commercials that pay very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if it was easy, they'd pay us $20 and a gift certificate.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. They would get any old jerk to come in and just blah blah blah, and you've seen enough local TV to know how effective that is.
Yeah,
when you need curios and cowboy things, come down to Tex and Edna's. You've seen that stuff, right?
Yep. Guys, it's not. It is not easy. I will say, Tim. I don't know. I make the admission that when I first started, it did not come easy to me, and I'm a person that usually. I mean, I'm not. Usually things came easy to me. School came easy to me, and when I remember, I tell the story when I got to college and I took calculus, and all of a sudden that did not come easy to me, and I was like devastated, and I was like, oh my God. And so acting, same thing, right? It's not easy, and it doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It just means that I think it's something that you need to familiarize yourself with and learn how to be an actor, and then discover yourself along the way and discover the truth in the booth. And
it's
then,
easy.
Yeah.
It looks easy because the pros make it look easy.
Exactly.
Same thing with singing. Same thing with stand-up comedy. When I was doing stand-up on a regular basis, I can't tell you how many times I was at a party or somebody and like, I'm the funniest guy in the office. Yuck, yuck, yuck. And I'm like, oh, really? Do your thing. And then he'd do something. And I'd be like, oh, so you do Saturday Night Live impressions? He goes, well, yeah. And then he's like, I got some jokes too. And then he would do like a Bill Cosby album or like a George Carlin routine. And I'm like, did you know I write my own material? Like, I can't get on stage and do someone else's material. Did you know that this was oh my God, I could never do that. So when the rubber meets the road and you've got to actually create, all of a sudden you can't do what the pros can do. Kobe Bryant made sinking freak throws super easy, because he sunk 1 billion of them.
Yeah, but he also missed probably quite a few until
he
got
did.
to the
But
point.
He also made it look way easier.
Exactly,
If I had 40,000 people in an NBA auditorium betting money on me, and I had to sink a free throw, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Dude got paid a bunch of money because he put in the time to learn how to do the thing.
That's it. He put in the time, and so 10,000 hours, guys. Malcolm Gladwell. So at least
seriously.
So
if you coach with me, the thing that I use is the Hamburg analogy. The Beatles did not appear in 1965 fully formed organically. They started as 17-year-old punks playing in, post-war Germany nightclubs 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. Playing rock and roll for nothing and drinking beer and eating cornflakes because that's all they had. And they put in the time to be the greatest rock and roll band of all time. Were John and Paul talented songwriters? Yeah, but not initially.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Bosses, you got to put in the time. And Tim, I what a great first conversation talking about I think the fundamentals, the essentials of being truthful, how you can at least your mindset in order to be truthful and truth in the booth. And I'm very excited to continue the conversation through the next episodes with you.
Well, thank you. I am too. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Super great. Thanks, Ann.
Yeah.
What more can I say? I love having a pulpit. I look forward to next time.
All right. Yay. All right, guys, I am going to give a great big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. And this is a little bit of truth coming from my booth. I love them. You can connect with other bosses and find out more at IPDTL.com. Bosses, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week.